Hi, and welcome to At the Sharp End, a weekly business show where we talk about issues facing small businesses, uh, particularly focusing on innovation across across the whole spectrum of business issues. And this morning, I've got a colleague on the show, Haroon Rashid, who's our head of marketing at Khemeia Consulting, and we're going to talk about the problems around innovation. So, good morning, Haroon. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Ian. Morning. Really good to be on the show finally.
It only took us 30 minutes of messing about technical issues to get here, but yeah, we got here finally, so that's great. So day to day, we hear a lot of issues, a lot of questions, and questions from our clients, questions from our prospective clients, and people in general not understanding really what innovation is, and I guess it's a well overused term as well. So. Cognizant of that, this morning I'd like us to just talk about the different types of innovation, what they mean to business, and what we as a company do to help businesses move forward. Is that okay?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the types of innovation then. From your perspective, so you head up our marketing team. What are the kind of innovative things that you would do in the marketing sphere? Can you give us a little bit of insight into that?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess the thing is that for the audience who may not know who Khemeia is, we're an innovation agency, and we innovate in 4 areas. So the area that I innovate in is marketing, but we've always said that innovation could be anything from you innovating your processes, your business processes, your marketing processes. It could be the way that you use a social media platform. It could be the way that you create graphics just to invoke emotion from people in just a different way. But whichever activity that you're doing, whichever thing you're trying out, innovation has to be done with a commercial focus, and I think that goes the same for yourself, Ian, doesn't it?
Right. So, I mean, the thing we like is the OECD term and definition of innovation, which really says, look, innovation is not just about research. It's not just about a good idea. It's about actually commercializing it and making money out of it. And really that broadens the spectrum as well, because it doesn't mean it's just about product. It doesn't just mean it's about manufacturing things. It means innovation can be across the whole spectrum of business issues, from your business model, i.e. how does your business work, how do you sell things to your clients, and how do you make money out of that, to underlying business process, so how efficient is your business, and can you increase your margins by putting systems in place and improving your operational efficiency. So there's a whole gamut of things there that your business can touch on.
And you know, like me and John, our head of insights, were talking last week, and we came up with this thing. We were kind of debating in the office last week, and we said, can any business innovate? And I was kind of saying, well, I think that they probably could, because like what you've just said there, Ian, it could be just about your business processes. It could be even like the way you hire people. You know, it comes down to what we're getting down to is the nitty gritty of what is innovation. So do you believe that any business can innovate?
Absolutely, absolutely, and actually there are business sectors, excuse me, that are failing to innovate right now and are suffering massively as a result of it. So there's something like, the stats that I read last week, there's something like 42% of businesses in the UK still don't have a website. But when you dig into those stats, it turns out to be small retailers typically. Now, a lot of retailers, specifically online retailers, have embraced the internet and web technology massively, and in fact to the point that they have no physical presence. So they've innovated sort of ahead of the curve or out of the curve entirely. They're going to complete, to use another overused phrase, a paradigm shift. They've gone from bricks and mortar retail to online retail. And they've missed out the bricks and mortar. So the companies that are failing to innovate and failing even to follow the general trend are your typical high street bricks and mortar retailers, and they're finding it increasingly difficult because everybody goes online now. People Google things regularly. They might Bing things as well, but I don't think that's a general term yet, is it? Everybody goes on eBay, everybody goes on Amazon, you know, and this is getting more pervasive. So your bricks and mortar shops are just becoming a storefront. So they really, really desperately need to innovate for two reasons. A, to keep the high street alive, but B, to make sure that their business can stay profitable and can grow.
And do you think that, I mean, like, so those people who don't have a website, and I think we need to probably clarify what we're talking about here. Like, just getting a website isn't being innovative.
Correct.
But having a website that does something differently or reaches your customers in a different way, that's being innovative, isn't it?
Well, there are a number of things. I mean, with the advent of mobile, location-based services are coming to the fore right now. And location-based services for the high street could be massively powerful. You know, how many times do you sort of flicker up your smartphone and go, I want the best deal for lunch, and I've done it a couple of times when I've been in places where I don't really know what's around, what cafes are around, if there's a good deli around the corner or whatever. And short of doing research on the internet beforehand, you really need an app like the Around Me app, where you can just go online and you can go, you know, what pubs are there, what delis are there, what restaurants are there, what cinemas are there. That's going to become more and more prevalent. So it's almost like a Yellow Pages for your high street, but the things that are relevant are within half a mile. And the small retailers, the high street retailers, need to embrace that kind of thing. The example of the websites really is, you know, it's the starting point. A website's just a stepping stone to getting online, even if it's a very simple website and it's just a virtual storefront.
Absolutely. I just, it's always funny, isn't it, when we go to meetings and people just go, we need a website, and there's no kind of purpose in mind. They go, okay, well, what's going to be on the site? I don't know, we just need a website. It's okay. Yeah. But like, even there, what you're saying about like the way things are going with the apps and how retailers could even just hijack on those kind of apps there. You know, if you're on a high street and you can get involved with those apps. You could be actually registered on those apps where people can come to your store if they're looking for a place to eat chicken, for instance, or if it's, you know, certain type of clothes or whatever it is, you know, you can actually get involved with that. You know, some people might even be really innovative and miss out the website step altogether and just go for the apps. True,
and actually that might be a better step, although there is quite an on-cost of maintaining apps. So I wasn't really advocating that someone wrote their own app for their own store, but actually affiliated themselves with one of the other schemes that's out there. So people are probably quite familiar with Voucher and things like that, and that's really in its infancy, but that will become more location aware to help you get vouchers and real-time information about what's in your surroundings. They'll probably do it by affiliation, not do it outright themselves. But that's another way to innovate, right? You can innovate through a partner or with a partner. And the big corporates do that routinely, so that's what builds up mergers and acquisitions, or M&A activity. And they do that because big organisations tend to focus on delivery, so innovation becomes more and more difficult the bigger you get.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So the bigger you get, the harder innovation becomes.
Yeah. If you look at an efficient delivery platform for a product or a service, it tends to be focused on that delivery. So stepping outside of that and doing something new that could potentially disrupt your business or your business model becomes a very hard proposition for any management team to sort of get behind and put money into. It might erode your market in the short term, but actually it should make your business proposition stronger in the long term.
So it kind of sounds then like, and I guess you'll deal with this on a day-to-day basis as well when you do your consulting and coaching, but it suggests to me then that there needs to be a culture of innovation in a company.
Absolutely. Do you know one of the things, the best companies that innovate seek guidance from their junior management team, from the shop floor. I accept not everyone has a shop floor, but the principle's the same. So it could be the receptionist, the admin person, the cleaner. If you want innovation to pervade an organisation, then everybody's responsible for it. So when I say getting guidance from the shop floor and the junior management teams, often the people who have the best insights into doing their job better are the people doing the job, not the management above them that's trying to manage them. So if you open up the communication channel so that those people can bring innovative ideas forward and get back in to try them out, then you start to create an engine of innovation that actually is pretty difficult to turn off once you've got the right environment for it. And I know a few companies that have done that, even to the point where they'll have a team of people across the business where they have it's like an innovation panel, and they'll score the ideas and try things out, and they try them out on a fairly systematic and routine basis. The end result is the business never stops growing. It's always on that upward trend.
And it does seem to me as well, though, that the word that kind of comes to my mind is like a freedom. There has to be a freedom for people to be able to try different things, and that does come from the top down, doesn't it?
It does. A lot of people that are in jobs will tend to just do their job, so they do what they're asked to do, and especially if they're being driven in a way that focuses them down. You know, you've got to do this, you've got to do, and it's very, very methodical. If you want them to innovate, you've got to give them a little bit of space and encourage ideas. So that communication, that two-way communication bit, moving away from what a lot of managers do as dictatorial control, you need to step back from that, and you need to ask people questions, open up ideas, do the technique of management by walking about. So don't sit in your office, actually get out onto the floor and see what's going on, and see what you can pick up. Encourage people to come and ask and tell you what their thoughts and feelings are, and how they think that you could make your business better.
Oh, totally. I mean, even for the viewers, you may not know. Okay, so Ian's my boss, and I've been with Khemeia for just over a year now, Ian.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I valued, and I know the rest of the team value as well, is that we do have a culture of innovation. So, I mean, Ian is very good at just kind of letting us try things out, you know, trying to test out new ideas. I mean, I remember when I first worked at Khemeia, I would go to Ian with an idea and just say, okay, well, I want to try this out. And Ian would say, okay, that's good, but why don't we try it another way? Why don't we try something different that not everyone else is doing? And that freedom, again, it came from the top down, but in that freedom to try things out is why I think we've managed to achieve quite a lot of stuff, right?
No, absolutely. That is right. And you know, I just can't stop innovating now. No, and it's great, right? So all the team bring new ideas all the time, and it's about how we look at that, how we manage that, how we make sure we're still delivering for the jobs that we've got for clients, but actually how we roll in the new stuff as well.
But it's embedded in our thinking now as a team, and that's really interesting because you were so clear. You had that clear business vision, and you were saying Khemeia is not like everybody else. We are innovators. We just happen to be business consultants or marketing consultants or whatever. But now every time we approach something as a team, it's funny because where we were a year ago is very different to how we are now, where we'll say, no, we're not going to go, if everyone else is going west, we're going to go east and we're going to see what's over there. You know, that kind of thing. We want to kind of just do it differently and just say, well, if everyone's doing that, God bless you, we're going to try it this way. You know? But yeah, it's funny because you've kind of changed the mindset of the team, and I think now the team is just thinking a different way to how we used to think a year ago.
It's funny because what you've just described sounds like we're just awkward. We just want to go the other way.
Well, we are,
aren't we? I guess we are slightly. But it's not about that. It's not about going the other way. If there's a tried and tested way of doing something, and we can't see a better way to do it, then obviously we do it that way. But
absolutely.
You know, probably I would probably say 75–80% of the time we've got another spin on things, or we'll look under the covers and having insights in-house, if you like, in the team, is really important. So, you know, we want to do this, but what do we think the impact will be? Can we go out and find out some data on that, or can we find some metrics on it? Has anyone done it before? What's the results? Da 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 da. So you kind of build up a plan, and it's about it's about asking questions. It's about listening to the answers and trying to interpret that data. And when we've got a plan to go forward, then it's about executing that plan. I have to say the team's pretty good at that now.
Now we are. It only took a year.
No.
I'm kidding. But no, but you're right though. The thing is, and we've seen this a lot, where people get really excited about innovation. But you just said that execution. There's a whole host of things you've got to do to try and execute innovation in your business, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's interesting when we talk to clients, you know. So there's some really good client stories kicking around. And we've worked with a guy who you know very well because you've done the marketing training with him. Fantastic idea, right at the forefront of what's going on in content marketing. He's probably more aligned with what's going on in the States, because the States seem to be a year or two in front of what's going on in the UK and Europe. And he's really struggling to sell his ideas. And it's not that he can't prove what he's doing, it's not that he's doing anything dodgy. It's just that I think the market here is a little bit more conservative and maybe not quite ready for what's going on. Although what he's doing, and you know, Haroon, who I'm talking about, I think that market is going to explode over the next few years. But I think here in the UK, it'll take some really hard work to open up the channels and the companies that want to do that. And I think there's another thing. The interview we did last week with the neuroscience guy, he brought up some really interesting points about, you know, certain aspects of industry that have used neuroscience techniques for years and years and years, and actually big brands are only just getting on board and realizing that that's what they ought to be doing too.
Oh, absolutely. I remember, and for those of you who may not know, Ian did a talk at the last Yorkshire Enterprise Network event that was hosted at Hope Park Business Centre, and it was the theme was innovation, wasn't it? And Ian, by the way, just a little plug for Ian, he's doing a talk at the Intelligent Cities Conference later on this month, I believe.
On the 15th of July, in fact.
15th of July. There'll be a link in the show notes, I'm sure. But I remember you did say that innovation can be quite a slow burner. So for businesses who may be watching this show, it probably does it make sense for businesses to be just ready to anticipate the rush and be well positioned, you know?
It's really interesting. I did a panel session with the Yorkshire Mafia, with some people from the Yorkshire Mafia last week as well, and that was on innovation. And we had a really good and very interested group of people. And one of the key things that comes through is a lot of the time people are so operationally focused, i.e. working in the business, on the business, that they don't put their head above the parapet and see what else is going on and how they could use it. And that's quite natural, actually. If you're driving a business forward, your key focus is on making that business efficient, keeping it alive, growing it, all those good things. So you don't necessarily think to look outside of what you're doing already and what you could do better, you know, find out what you could do better. So it's that dichotomy again, isn't it, of trying to grow your business and focusing on that, but actually having a weather eye out to see what's going on in the marketplace and what tools and techniques come into the fore, what opportunities are arising that you could maybe participate in. So a fantastic innovation that happened. I think it's been around about 3 years now from going live, is G Cloud. So G Cloud is the government's gateway for small businesses, i.e. everything from micro businesses, which is one-man bands, up to 250 employees, to engage with the government and bid for technology projects that those companies could supply. And actually that's liberated a lot of creative and digital industry companies to be able to engage with the government and solve some of the problems. So bringing in technical and operational efficiency to the government.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, like, you know, when you deal with companies day to day, let's say someone wants to innovate like right now. What are like the main? Is there like a list of things that people can do straight away? How do they get started with innovation? What are the common things people have to look out for when they want to start innovating? Is there a list? How would you help businesses who want to innovate?
Is there a list? That's a good starting point. So usually the one of the hard things if a company's not innovating is to recognise where they can innovate and indeed where they need to innovate. Can you imagine the problem for a small business owner, and this is something that we face day to day as well. When you're a small business owner, especially if you're a one-man band, or a sole trader, I should say, then you have to do everything. So it's your responsibility to find clients, buy products, do your invoicing, file your books, do your marketing, sort your website out, go and meet suppliers, and all the other stuff that it entails. And that's typically for most small business owners, that's a 60-hour a week average type of job. So someone like me saying, lift your head above the parapet and see what's going on because you might have some other opportunity, is in isolation a non-starter, right? Who's got the time to do that? So if you're starting that innovation process and you're really interested in how you can improve your business, then a consultant or a coach might be the way to start. I would probably advocate a coach more than a consultant to start with, because a coach is there to really give you other ideas, look at the experience, identify the weaknesses in your business, and it's that third-party perspective, right? So hopefully you'll be talking to a coach that's got business experience. Doesn't necessarily have to be valid to your sector. It's just, what do you need to do to be efficient in business, and where are the gaps in your business? So, for instance, one client, in fact, two clients now have had an admin problem. So they're overloaded with admin, and it was stopping them growing their business. And the thing that they did was found an online virtual PA service. They both found somebody they like. They both love the relationship that they've got now. They feel empowered themselves because they've offloaded their workload, and they're now thinking about innovating within their company because they've had that freedom and mind space to be able to think about the business a little bit more and not be, doing that day-to-day running on the treadmill or the hamster wheel, if you prefer, just filling forms out and sending invoices out and writing purchase orders and things.
I like that. It's like innovation requires freedom and space to think. I've noticed a lot, actually, when you actually give people time or space just to think about stuff, all kinds of things come out. I remember I was with a client just a couple of weeks ago, and we were starting the consultancy session, and I asked him a question, and it was innovation related, and he said, well, I've never had time to think about it. And I went, well, now's the time. I'm giving you time to do it right now.
Yeah. and that's important. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs actually take time out of the business on a regular basis, so they allocate time away from the day-to-day running of the business to enable them to think about what they should be doing next and set a plan aside with goals attached to go and achieve the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So they're really hitting on the nub of the innovation problem there, or the innovation definition. Identify something, a problem or a need, figure out a plan to get there that you're going to try out, put some metrics around it to make sure that either A, it works, or B, if it doesn't work, change it slightly so it does work, or can it completely, stop doing it. And and really limit the budget that you're spending on it until you've proven that it will have an effect. And the best businesses do exactly that. So I talked about small businesses who've got innovation panels. That really is all about setting those goals, targets, budgets, and implementing the idea, and looking at whether it's feasible. Obviously, if you're a small business and you're turning over, say, 100,000 a year, and this big innovation idea that you've thought of is going to need 50,000 a year, it's probably a non-starter without some financial assistance. But you might have a partner, your supply chain, a customer that might want to participate in that if there's mutual benefit in it.
Yeah. I don't know if you do this as well, but I do encourage some of our clients to give them that space and time to think. I say get out of the office, get out of your environment, that familiar environment. Even, go for a run, cycling, do some exercise as well, get the endorphins flowing and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you do that as well, but I find that, after a run or a workout, whatever, you do tend to think a lot clearer, don't you?
Yes, you do. There's a well-documented scientific reason for that, and it definitely doing exercise, running, cycling, swimming, even going out for a walk around the block in the middle of the day, declutters your mind, and it really helps you prioritize what's going on. And it's all to do with chemical release within your body, but actually changing your focus and just taking that exercise, getting your mind out of the office, because there's always a big pile of things to do, is extremely valuable. And again, I have a client who part of his daily routine is to get out of the office for 30 minutes and go for a walk around, and he's tremendously productive as a result of that. In fact, he's probably one of the most productive people I know. Perhaps we should hire him. So after all that, Ian, what do you believe is innovation from a business perspective, if you had to kind of put it concisely? Really good.
I put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. Yeah. I thought I was interviewing you anyway. I thought that was the focus of today. Okay, look back to the question at hand. What's innovation about? First and foremost, you've got to be inquisitive. So you've got to be inquisitive about what's going on. You've got to be inquisitive about what you can do to improve your position, the position of your business, the position of your staff, the position of your products, and how you're going to do that. You might need to seek external help. You might have enough skills yourselves to do that. It depends what it is you're trying to do. Once you've done that, you're into that problem-solving mode, and it's the step between identifying the problem and delivering the solution or a solution. And if you do it in incremental steps, you'll keep the costs down, and you will be able to prove what you're doing is actually making positive change to your business. So anyone with a good amount of self-belief, open-mindedness, and passion, as long as they're inquisitive, will be able to innovate on a fairly regular basis.
And that really fits in with why you do what you do, because you often say that every business can be profitable or innovative, I suppose, as long as they're flexible, motivated, and have strong self-belief.
That's correct. Yeah. And it's right. It's just helping. It's helping business owners, and it's helping managers of businesses to just look at their problems in a slightly different way, and looking for a better solution. If you can do that, the world's your oyster. It really is, and your business will you never stop growing as a result of it. Awesome,
cool. So, what time are we on now?
Good question. We are at 2 minutes past 10, so I think we've probably been on about half an hour.
Yeah, cool. I can talk about this all day. It's what you want to do. It's your show, I suppose.
Do you know what? I've got 1,000,001 pieces of paper to fill out that I ought to.
You need to go out for a run first, though.
Okay. Look, thanks for being on the show. and thanks for participating in a lively debate about innovation. We are Yorkshire's innovation agency, and we like to talk to businesses that want to break the mold of what they're doing, move their businesses forward on a variety of fronts, whether it's business modeling, business innovation, product development. So we do electronics and software development, insights, so we can derive marketing data to help the business grow, or marketing, as you heard from Haroon earlier. He's a marketing innovation specialist, and we train people how to implement the innovation system. That's all we've got time for this week. This has been At the Sharp End, and thanks for watching.